news. And today is February 11th, 2025, the year of infamy, if you didn't know. I am on NOAA, National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, U.S. Department of Commerce. This is a very important website. The Trump administration will soon begin to eliminate the words climate change, the phrase climate change from NOAA, I am told. This morning when I woke up and came to this website at 5 a.m., I found a page that said the page was not available, so I panicked. But I'm back, and NOAA experts provide data, tools, information to help people understand and prepare for changing climate. So the word climate's still on NOAA. I guess that's a good sign. I'm not going to get into the politics of it, but apparently the new regime thinks that it's beyond above the law. Anyway, building a climate-ready nation. That's an important subject on NOAA. How about explainer, how to foster climate resilience in your community? That's an important thing. Of course, you got to be willing to spend money on infrastructure, and I don't think the new regime has much infrastructure in mind. They're actually taking the intellectual infrastructure apart, as best as I can tell. I am making this video as a form of protest, as a form of letting future viewers, if any, know that at one time and place, this website was here. It talked about 2024 was the world's warmest year on record. It also said in another page, now a NOAA animated series takes kids on educational climate weather adventures. So, climate literacy is important on NOAA today, February 11th, 2025. How about explainer, how to foster climate resilience in your community? Yes, we can see that. View all climate news and stories. Let's go there. Oh, wait a minute. This is important down here. $2.780 trillion. From 1980 to August 2024, the U.S. experienced 396 weather and climate disasters, where overall damages reached at least $1 billion. The total cost of these events exceeds $2.780 billion. By the way, you must see Climate Stripes, eye-catching visual depicts of trends by state and country. I'm not going there. I'm going back up top of the page, or middle of the page. Education, there's a link to education, sanctuaries, charting, marine aviation, and research. All these are very important subjects to the next generation and the seventh generation. After all, who are we to deny the seventh generation the benefits of climate science? View all climate news stories. Okay, what's going on today? Climate news and stories. Raging wildfires. Arctic blast struck the U.S. last month. Wow, what's that about? February 10, 2025. Yeah, here we go. Look at that fire. Big stuff here. How about Groundhog Day 2025? Will winter linger or will spring prevail? Another way of putting that, what's La Niña going to look like compared to El Nino? I think La Niña is going to be much cooler. And then when El Nino comes back, El Nino will come back with a lot of heat. Climate conditions brought historic snow, record low temps to the U.S. South. I will return to this. 2024 was the world's warmest year on record. 2024 was the nation's warmest year on record, of course. Isn't that redundant in a sense? NOAA, NASA to announce 2024 global temperature ranking climate events. Good to know. That is until the new regime finds out that somebody's talking about climate science. Then what? The hidden forces transforming Christmas traditions. NOAA Monthly U.S. Global Climate Report Call, December 19th, 2024. That's important. Earth saw its second warmest November on record, and that was 2024. And also on 2024, we find fall 2024 was the warmest on record. So 2024 appears to be consistently the warmest year on record. We're into the second month of 2025. Project 2025 seems to have found a nest in the U.S. government. So I don't know how long this website is going to help protect the seventh generation. I believe that it's going to be mutilated, but I hope I'm wrong. Am I paranoid? Yeah, I am, after what I'm hearing and seeing. Apparently, the vice president doesn't believe that U.S. courts have any power or say so in what the president of the United States does. So that basically makes the president of the United States a dictator. Well, we will see more. Raging fires. Okay, I said that about Groundhog Day. How climate conditions brought historic snow, record low temps to the south. January 2025. I think we better look at that because U.S. has a terrible storm on the way. What part of the U.S.? Well, it looks like most of the U.S. All right. Historic January 2025. Snowfall, southern U.S. An Arctic blast plunged into the southern United States on Sunday, January 19th, arriving just in time for the on average coldest stretch of the year. It brought record-breaking low temperatures and fueled a winter storm that dropped historic snowfall for parts of the South. Well, you don't say. Me, I think we're in for more of it. Why? Because the ocean's getting warmer. As the ocean warms, water vapor goes into the atmosphere at an increasing rate. And now it's increasing at an increasing rate. If what I hear about increasing climate change is increasing its rate. In any case, on January 22, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, made it to 7 degrees, which is the airport's coldest temperature since records began in 1930. Earlier, pre-airport data from Baton Rouge showed a 2-day cold snap in 1899 when the temperature dropped to 2 degrees on February 13th and 7 degrees on February 14th. Lafayette, Louisiana was even colder at 4 degrees, a record low since records began in 1893. Finally, if that wasn't enough, New Iberia, Louisiana saw 2 degrees, making it the site's coldest temperature since its creation in 1948. I have never felt 2 degrees, 7 degrees for that matter. There are corrections here. There are corrections. February 4, 2025, a reference temperature at New Orleans lakefront in the original version of the article has been removed after additional review of the record showed large stretches of missing data. I say data because of Star Trek, not data. The text has also been edited to state that the Baton Rouge Airport record began in 1930, not 1935, as originally stated, and that the 2025 temperature of 7 degrees was an airport location record, but not the coldest ever observed for a station at that location. Isn't that interesting that we can see a correction here? Correcting this article. Isn't that exactly what science does? Science corrects itself because science knows that it's always going to change. It is never dogmatic, ever, and it's not an utter skeptic, but science is a skeptic, and it believes in questioning its own findings. And it knows if it does not question its own findings, and most likely somebody else will, if it's good science, then it's going to have egg on its face if somebody else finds its error or mistake. So it's better science finds its own mistakes. Science is not dogmatic. It is not perfect. It does not claim to be perfect. It does not know the absolute truth and does not know or say that it will ever know the absolute truth. If and when science says this is the truth, then it's not science. Will science say this is a fact? Yeah, but it's still open to falsification. If it's not open to falsification, then it needs a real close look to even claim it's science. Anyway, how many modes of human thought, by the way, share this notion of science being falsifiable, share this notion of being open to criticism, correcting its errors? As far as I know, science is the one field out of art, religion, human affairs, social relations, and that sort of thing. So it sounds like the whole realm of being: art, religion, science, philosophy. These are all modes of human thinking, and science is the one that produces predictions that can be realized. And when they're not realized, the error of the science can be corrected. How many modes of thinking do you know of that follow that scheme? Anyway, as the record-breaking cold set in, so did the historic snowfall. Texas saw the first snowflakes of the storm on the night of January 20 before the storm began its trek eastward. One of the most notable records for the state was 4.5 inches that fell in the Beaumont, Port Arthur area on January 21, making it the snowiest day for the year since it began its records in 1901. Snowfall in southeastern U.S. Wow. Anyway, as the storm tracked eastward, it continued to make history in Louisiana. On about January 21 and 22, the National Weather Service Office of Lake Charles, Louisiana, issued its first blizzard warnings ever for portions of the state. On January 21, Baton Rouge recorded 7.6 inches, making it the site's snowiest day since records began in 1892. 1892, while New Orleans saw its snowiest day since records began in 1948, with a total of 8.0 inches. Yeah. On January 22, Tabudu, excuse my pronunciation, also saw its snowiest day since records began in 1893, with 8.5 inches of snow. Mobile, Alabama hit a record snowfall of 7.5 inches on January 21, and the most since the site's creation in 1881. Finally, 10 inches was recorded near Pensacola, Florida on January 21, challenging the record for the snowiest day ever recorded at the state of Florida. Here's another correction. February 4, 2025, mention of a record 4 inches of snow in Fernandina Beach, Florida, was removed, following an update to report totals for the storm. That's Fernandina. Snowfall records broken at stations in the southeastern U.S. Busy day, busy snow. Must have been a real problem for folks. Well, skipping ahead here, I'm going to end this video in a moment. I just want to let folks know that NOAA's still here. It's still using climate change. It's still recording weather, and it's still recording problems like the rare atmospheric setup for a southern lake effect snowstorm. Well, usually cold and dry air originating from the Arctic was in place across much of the Gulf Coast prior to the beginning of the winter storm that buried much of the area in inches of snow. By January 2025, a large trough in the upper atmosphere, also known as a dip in the jet stream, was pushing south and east across much of the central U.S., stretching from the Great Lakes all the way to the Gulf Coast. I'm going to jump ahead. Stratospheric solar vortex connection. What about climate change? Yeah, what about climate change? The southern dip in the jet stream that brought this cold air outbreak was aligned with a stretching event in the stratospheric polar vortex. Stratosphere is way up above the troposphere, and that's where a lot of weather happens. Some recent research has linked these polar vortex stretching events to climate change. According to NOAA polar vortex expert Amy Butler, the hypothesis is that melting Arctic sea ice due to human-caused warming could elongate the shape of the polar vortex and encouraging a southern shift jet stream and more Arctic blast. However, the event for this connection is mixed and the science remains unsettled. So we have a theory. It's being worked on. It will be falsified if it can be, and we hope it can be falsified, but being falsified means that it can stand as science when it is proven to be a good predictor of what's to come. When it comes to the influence of climate change on winters in the South and rest of the United States, the main thing to know is that extreme cold and snow, even occasional new records, aren't incompatible with warming winters overall. Cold extremes still occur, but the odds are decreasing over time. Wow. All right. Thank you, NOAA, for sharing this information. Thank you, NOAA.